All right, hi everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Physics. This is Joseph Guzman. So, in today's episode, we are continuing our Father's Day special series, and in part two, as promised, we are having on Irene's father, Javier Roman. So, as you can imagine, we spend most of the conversation going through his background. He's currently retired, but he got a degree in electronic communications as well as an MBA, and it seems like he spent most of his career as an engineer. So we go behind the motivations behind that, and I think an overall motif of the conversation was doing a comparative analysis between Mexico and the United States. So in that respect, I learned quite a bit, and perhaps you will too. Anyways, and at some point we do touch politics. It's almost impossible to avoid nowadays. And I just wanted to bring up one quick correction, and that is that at some point I mentioned that international graduate students were going to be kicked out of the country if they only had online classes, right? And that ruling has since been rescinded. However, there is still, of course, drama and issues with international students coming to the United States for the very same reason, right? If they have online classes, they might be, barred entry to the country. And so I'll share links to that. And just wanted to let you know that quick correction because it has been some time since we've recorded this podcast. Anyways, so if that sounds interesting to you, please stick around. And of course, I would really appreciate it if you give us a rating on your podcasting listening platform, give us a follow, like, share, all that jazz. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter, right? So, anyways, without further ado, let's get into today's episode. This is Beyond the Physics. All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Beyond the Physics podcast. This is your host, Joseph Guzman, and I'm joined today with my co-host,
Irene Roman.
And Javier Roman.
Yeah, so this is part two of our Father's Day special. Father's Day is long gone, but we have multiple fathers to converse with.
Yeah, but don't forget, Father's Day is every day.
We're joined by my father, Javier Roman, which, you can tell us a little about yourself in a little bit. So, so Joe.
Okay, well, just for the listeners, I guess, let's just give like a synopsis of maybe where you're at in terms of like your career and stuff like that, like a brief summary of like your whole trajectory, I guess, in terms of like your career and work and stuff like that.
Okay. Right now, as you guys know, Joe and Irene, I am in Orlando, Florida, but originally I came from Mexico. This is a long time ago, before you were not born yet. It was 1974. Okay. I came out almost after graduated in Mexico City. I attended the Instituto Politécnico Nacional, which is the National Polytechnical Institute in Mexico City. And I graduated in the field of electronic communications. So when I came here, I was 2 years already working as an engineer in Mexico City. Then I came here having in mind of learning high technology, I was interested in high tech, and that was my primary reason. So I said, I'll go to the US. Once I'm there, I will work as an engineer and I will get a master's degree either in engineering um, or some other field that I like. So I know everybody's dynamic. What you think today, what you want to do today, doesn't necessarily mean that is what you want to do tomorrow. Or as always, you have to take opportunities as they come. If you believe they are opportunities, take them, even if it's something different that you originally wanted to take, as long as that opportunity you are sure is going to be for enhancing your education and your standing in society and in all your fields. Anyway, 74, I arrived here. And I went from sunny Mexico City. Originally, I was from a really hot town in the state of Guerrero. So over there, the average temperature is about 90 degrees all year round. And when I came here to Detroit, I came in winter or late fall. I say late fall, and it was really like 32 degrees, 30 degrees temperatures in cold Michigan, Detroit. So it was a big change, but I enjoy it. And I started working there in a computer company, division of a company who made mini computers. So I started working in that field, and I learned a lot over there. It's probably my first job. It was my first job in the USA, but I had a great opportunity to learn a lot of new things and became part of the design team. I did logic design with a team of other 3 engineers. At that time, I was not hired as an engineer, but as a technician. But even though I was hired as a technician, they let me do some digital design, logic design. I didn't know much about it because my major in college was electronic communications, broadcasting, radio station, build radio station, and antennas and all that thing. I really was not much versatile in digital, but I believe in oral didactics and I really learned myself and with the help of a specific engineer there who really gave me a lot of help. And then I started doing some microprocessor design. Believe it or not, it was very challenging because we designed a quad microprocessor, which was very much ahead of its time. And I still have pictures of the really layers of the microprocessor, which it never really did work because the technology wasn't up to date. And the foundry couldn't make it happen because it was, for them, it was a very, very small piece of electronics. Today, we do end up being an eye because it wasn't really that much dense microprocessor as compared to the way they have it today. So anyway, that was my really first engineering job here. And then from there, I spent probably 3 years in there, and then I came to Florida to work for a company that designed digital central offices it was all everywhere, including Israel, if I remember correctly, and England, and I worked there as an engineer doing some design and also some tests. I started taking some courses and digital simulation, which was really the beginning of digitalogical simulation. With a few companies only did that. I mean, you can count the number of suppliers that start working and producing the logic simulators for design and test. It was kind of the early days of CAD design. So I worked on that. Then, but then I got into really the testing world. So at that point, I knew how to design. Then I learned how to do automatic tests. I found out there was a niche in the field of automatic test equipment because there was not much automatic test equipment in the market, and the demand started growing and growing. So I decided to go to the field because I like it, and I was also working on that, took few courses, and I even kind of created interfaces from this design databases into extracting the test vectors so we can apply them in the automatic test equipment. Um, so after that, I went to Fort Lauderdale, also to work for another high-tech company who design and build mini computers. These were more for at the time they said there's really fast computers with application for the aerospace companies, of which the government. And then from then, this company, that was the late 80s. And then at that time, all the companies start selling and spreading apart and joining each other. So the company that I was working fold. I have to look for another job, and I work to the Northeast to work for General Electric and and the aerospace industry. And I continue some more design and test. Um, then that company, General Electric, sold the company to to Martin Marietta, and Lockheed Martin was created. Then we were part of Lockheed Martin, and I spent over there the last 25 years of my career doing design, test, and supporting sometimes the factories, on the test equipment, and I was involved in designs, like system designs, and with projects for the Navy, for the Coast Guard, and also for NASA. I did so. I wrote some tests for a satellite that was going to be. Uh, it was going to go to space. It was called EOS, Earth Observing System. Then they became from EOS. They named it Terra, and it was supposed to look at all the environmental conditions and make studies around the globe and things like that. So anyway, I went for I worked for project for NASA, and then I came back to work with the Navy again with signal processing. Finally, I finally I retired like 7 years ago. I decided to come back to Florida and retire. But I really think that I've been very lucky because everything that I wanted to do and accomplish in my life, as far as the professional, I did. I remember since I was a child, I wanted to be an engineer, and I always dream of doing working in NASA. I actually didn't know that really most of the people, or the people who really make all these flights, all the things that NASA sends to space are really made by subcontractors. So I was part of one of those subcontractors to work on the satellite, right? I was for a subcontractor that I worked for radar for the Navy, and I wanted to know the Northeast. I remember when I was really a child, I always dreamed to go to the Great Lakes. Well, the first my first stop when I came to the state. I live in Detroit, so I knew I visited the Great Lake. I spent some time in Chicago and Lake Michigan, then Detroit with all these states. And I really, I could say that I'm very happy because I really met what I really wanted to do in my professional career. Now I am out of the career, and I yeah, I still miss work. I still miss that technology, but I also think that there is a time for everything, even for retirement. And I enjoy being retired, enjoy my family, and I enjoy life. But right now I live in Orlando. Unfortunately, with this coronavirus, kind of the life of everybody has changed, but it's not bad. I mean, I am not sacrificing anything. I mean, yeah. And at one point in my childhood, I'm gonna go back to my childhood because I wanna tell you guys. Because one time Irene asked me, "Why did you? When did you start thinking about sciences or engineering?" Well, that the reason I think is I'm very fortunate because I live in a small town in the state of Guerrero. When I was like in the secondary school, secondary equivalent to middle school, right? So there was a group of people who came to my small hometown from NASA. They really wanted to motivate the people there to to be an engineer, so to think about uh, aerospace, about NASA, about the space, and so. So we had a meeting. All the school attended, and they made some experiments on some demonstration. I never forget that the first time I I saw the third law of Newton. Newton's third law that to every action there's a reaction. So what they brought was like a wheel, a bike wheel, which they position and put some cracker. They lit the cracker and then the wheel started spinning because of the reaction to the firecracker. Oh wow, what a beautiful thing! Oh, that's one of the things that I really like when I was a child. I also my grandfather, I was really motivated. My grandfather didn't have any formal education, but he knew a lot. He was reading all the time, and he did always maintain mechanical equipment, and he had a lot of equipment. And he told me to make a crystal radio, which I was very impressed. I don't know if you probably, I don't know if you ever read because those were like the very early radios. It's a crystal and a capacitor and a little coil and the headset. You, you just grab an antenna into a pole and then you start listening to the radio station, right? You think it actually takes the energy of the electromagnetic waves around and the crystal kind of decode them with the coil, and then you can listen radio. So I did my radios, and I was always looking for um, variable capacitors to also tune more than one radio station and so on. So that, and my early childhood really was involved, and I was supported. Like say, my grandfather had a lot of these gadgets that really motivated me. So that's why I became an engineer. Now I retired. My father always also support me on that one. My father also didn't have education. He was the he only was a sixth grader after he finished elementary school. He didn't study anything else, but he always was not forcing us, but getting into our brain that we have to have a career so we can. There was no option. We all have to do something. So I came from a really good family, I would say, in terms of their ideas, their ethics, and I've been very lucky.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting to hear the whole trajectory, and you took a lot of questions that I was going to ask you anyway, like how did you get started in your interest in engineering? Would you answer to us? Um, in terms of your childhood and growing up, um, did you live with your grandfather along with your father? What was the household like that you grew up in?
Okay, my household, it was my father and mother, and my grandmother from my mother's side lived with us, and we were six children. Uh, Mainly we were five, but when I was 11 years old, the sixth one came, and so and we were six. So there was a big difference between the majority of the kids and the last child. The
Is
last
that the
child,
Theo Carlos?
Theo Carlos, right?
Okay, okay.
And now he's a professor at in the University of Mexico, and he is in physics like you guys. He 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 likes physics, right? And so that was my household. So I I my childhood I I spent it in the state of Guerrero, and then when I finished highest no middle school, I went to Mexico City to do the high school. At that time was 3 years of high school and then 4 years of the career of the university. In this case, was in the Polytechnical Institute. Yeah.
So did you live on your own when you went to Mexico City, or did you live with other family members, or how did that work?
Oh no, we were two of my brothers and myself. We were three, and then an uncle who actually was almost with a very small difference of ages. Three, he's my uncle, but he's only 3 years older than me.
Okay.
So he and my brother, a sister, and myself, we were four, and my grandmother, who lived with us in Guerrero, came with us to Mexico City, and we had a very, very, very small apartment, and we lived in there because at that time I don't remember there was any housing provided by colleges or universities. So everybody there had an apartment to live in or live with some relatives. So we were living in that apartment and going to, to college. Uh, and my father always supported us. Um, but uh, one thing I want to mention, because regardless how the political situation is in Mexico, and regardless of the corruption that always existed, the government had European influence. Really, they follow the European way of education, which means the government supplies all the funds for the colleges, but not 100% of the college. At that time, it was almost 100% because there were very, very few private colleges. Most of them, they were like the Instituto Politécnico Nacional, the National Polytechnic Institute, receives all all the funds from the Mexican government. The University of Mexico also is an autonomous institution, receive all the funding from the government. So people who attend those public universities and colleges have to practically pay nothing. I used to pay like equivalent to $1 a year for attending college. If I didn't have the money, I didn't have to pay anything. And on top of that, if if I apply for help, they had cafeteria open to everybody. You can eat there and pay for your food. Or, but if you really need it, you can file an application and you could get um, all the meals through the whole year from college. Okay, so it was really a good system, and although it wasn't expensive, well, it was free. Basically, the staff, we have some staff that came from time to time, like from Harvard or from the University of California as a guest, and even more, I would say the 90% of the textbooks that we use, they were from Princeton. They were the same textbook that U.S. universities use at that time. Sometimes we didn't have like sometimes I didn't have the money to buy textbooks. Well, I go and get to the library. The school has some library, and then you can borrow books from there. Wasn't for the whole year. Maybe you for 2, 3 weeks you borrow a book, return it, and later go and borrow it again. So there was always a way to get things done. I mean, but it was really the government funded all the institution at this time. Then later became all these private universities, which are still there, and but they charge very very high fees for Mexican standards. I mean, it will be very low fee for American standards, but not every Mexicans can really attend those universities, so they would get really in debt.
Yeah.
Um, so
Sorry, but so what's your perspective on like the American system? Like now that you have a daughter who went through the college system, um, do you feel like from your perspective, is this something that the U.S. should adopt in terms of like public universities, similar funding, or what do you think?
well, what I think is really difficult to have, would be really difficult to have in the state a system like that Mexican system or European system, because most of these countries, most of the countries in the world, they don't charge for education. I mean, because they know that education is vital for the growth of the country, for the advance of the country. But the problem here that the universities are part of the system, and the system of free market, and where if there are a lot, if there are a lot of demand for the services, the supply really boost up the prices wildly. Okay, and although they most of the universities cry they don't have enough funds, there is no money. I don't think so, because like I I I pay for the college of my two daughters, and it, there was a lot of money. But after all, I say I asked, the system here is good. Okay, why? Because I remember when I came here, I came to the US with $80 in my pocket, and look, I am not super rich. I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but if my wife and I we could put our daughters through college, and yeah, we did sacrifices, and I don't know if I sacrificed. We saved good money, so we can. Because I always thought we don't want our children to be in debt when they get out of college, so we can save money for their education. And thanks God, everything worked out good. I mean, and my daughter, also Irene, is still in her PhD, and I know she will get it because I know my daughter. But there is what Irene wants, Irene gets, right? And then she doesn't get it for free. She works hard. She's very dedicated person, committed, which is and and what the question was, how do I feel the thing is here? I think it's part of the free market. It's always going to be expensive. And and you see, I believe the price of education, although it's very high, it has the reason to be because a lot of people, many people that I know, if you if they have to pay for education, they study. If they don't pay for the education, they forget about it and they flunk and get out of the schools because they know that it's being free. I think, and I don't think that the majority of the people, a lot of people I would notice act that way. They commit if they pay for it. If they don't pay for it, if they don't sweat for it, I believe they slack. They become slackers. So, and I don't. You see, even people say, okay, it's very expensive. Yes, it is very expensive. But also when you accomplish that and you get out of the field, you get a decent salary. And if it is a lot of salary because when you were a student, you really waste a lot of money. You try to live in a luxurious apartment or a very nice apartment. You don't live in the minimum in the conditions that you should be living because you know you cannot afford that. And still people goes and takes amounts and amounts of loans to study and live very comfortable. And then when they get out of school, they have these big debts. I mean, they could have control of it and minimize it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
mean, I guess, well, if I can say a comment, then you
yeah,
can
go ahead.
talk too. I guess the way that I'm seeing, though, unfortunately, the education system now, at least in the United States, and then you can comment on this, is that the increase in the pricing for a lot of colleges, especially private colleges, has gone up in an extreme amount. And yeah, I mean, I understand your point where you say that, you know, if you have to pay for your education, you're going to take it a little more seriously. And I think that that's true to an extent. But there is a larger issue in terms of that there's a large population of people who don't even have the chance or access to education because it's way too expensive. And these are the types of groups of people that I feel like have been, you know, generations and generations of being kind of kicked out of education because they can't afford the high prices, and they can't get loans, you know, like poor communities. And that just continues kind of this gap that's larger between these poor communities that are higher of Latinos and black people in the communities, and then these like generations of educated, let's say, white people. There's obviously other races as well, but a lot of them, unfortunately, is like a white privilege, I think, in a way that they have generations and generations of families getting education, and then building wealth, and they have more access to these universities and high quality universities. So I think that for me, that's why I feel like there has to be some sort of reform for education in the United States, because I don't think this is sustainable, and I think it's actually hurting our country because, like you said, we need access. More people need access to quality education so that we can evolve, right, in and better the future of the country. And then I guess a question that I wanted to ask you in regards to that is, how do you see the education in Mexico now that you said it's pretty affordable, right? How do you think that that has affected the population as a whole? Do you see benefits from that in society in Mexico? How many people decide to go to university in Mexico, and how does that process go about? I guess them attending.
Well, what you said, I completely agree with you. Like in this country, there should be more people attending college. And I see why the people don't go because they can not afford it. But you see, the problem is that not systems in a country and in all the countries are have different aspects: the financial aspect, the political aspect, the social aspect, right? And also, I was saying that the the universities here are really expensive, but if you wanted to go, you will be able to go in either get on debt or not. But that is not the problem. The problem is at another level, and I agree with you. It is at the government level because and at the industrial level because if they actually the to me the priority is in the top of this pyramid and is the industry is where to me is all the decisions are being made. It's not political. It's all big entrepreneurs. They want to make a lot of money, but if they wanted to, they could force the government to open education for people like Latinos or Black or other social, if I say classes or other social, they can outreach other minorities or women to go to and support them and give them no loans but grants with the condition that they have to finish because but that doesn't happen. And I think it's government and industry and the industry. They are industry that want to give back don't want to give back to the country what they have got through the citizens of either country. Like now going back to your question that you said in Mexico. Well, in Mexico, there is a lot of professional people, and there's another problem that they don't have jobs. They went and got the college degrees, and they are driving driving cabs. I had one of my classmates that I remember, he went to school with me, and he had a business of his own, selling socks, underwear, perfume, and then when we got out of college, he tried to get on a job, but the competition to get professional job is very rough. It's very rough to get because there are either there are not enough jobs or they pay so poorly that they cannot support their families. So there are these people, like I said, driving cabs or selling ambulance sales people with engineering degrees, with any kind of professional degree that they don't practice because there are no jobs, or they don't pay enough to even support their families. And that's another issue in society, not only in this country, in Mexico, in India perhaps, is that.
I mean, why is it so bad in Mexico? Like in terms of jobs and what's really holding the country back? Because it looks like there's a good setup for good education and it looks like there's educated people. But why aren't they using those educated people to kind of, I guess, increase their well-being as a state or country?
Because there are not really, I mean, for some reason, I think somebody in that environment wants to control the number of jobs, so that there is a lot of competition. I know people that they've been looking for jobs for so long that they couldn't get a job in their field, so they start doing something that they don't use what they know. Like I said, doing selling goods on the street or driving cab. Now that Uber is there, a lot of Uber drivers are there. There are people who already have degrees, but they don't get jobs anywhere. It's because unlike China, who stole technology from the countries and they apply it in there, Mexico doesn't install anything for the country, but they do a lot of manufacturing for uh, and they put a lot of people to work in those manufacturers, but they don't need really lots of technocrats. They need labor, and and in that pool of labor are people with degrees or with no degrees, and like I said, that they only it's a social problem. Is people want to get a lot of money, and they have to control over there in those, the workforce or the pool of workers. They rather take a manual laborer rather than a professional. They take professional, but with a very little. I mean, it's very small percentage of professional people that they need, and most of the people that most of the work in all these large companies are really for labor.
I mean, yeah, it's just I don't understand why they don't want to invest in kind of companies that can help with technological advancements. Let's say in things, let's say with energy, right? I mean, there's tons of countries who are interested in this doing research and figuring out more sustainable energy sources, let's say for an example. And there's a bunch of problems and projects like that that we need for the future of the world. So I don't understand why, let's say, Mexico wouldn't be interested in.
One of the they are, but in order to be enrolled in one of those projects or to do some research and development for let's say solar energy, the technology already exists and it was already patented for in countries like the U.S. and some other countries, and also there could be improvements of that technology. You need capital to start something.
Yeah.
So and that's what you need. And people who have the money because even Mexico is not as developed as the U.S. It has a lot of money. There are uh, few people with are in the top 10 uh, rich people in the world. Sling, for instance, he owns the phone company. He even owns uh, enterprises here in the U.S. Okay, so there is, but there are very few people. There are not too many people. So in order to start doing some more research and development in any country, you need money. So you have to find the people who have the money to start the development. And some people with money, they don't care about the people of the country. They are more interested in keeping the environment like it is, and they start growing more and more the money. That I don't know what they do with it, probably nothing. But that's the world we live in. It's
That's
always
always the
been like that,
question.
and it always be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the problem in the States too, right? Is that the government does have money, and I imagine that would be true in Mexico, right? And the United States is the problem is what we choose to subsidize, right? What the government chooses to invest in, like corn, like oil, so on and so forth. All these industries that are kind of dying, right? And not helpful towards the betterment of humanity and securing our place on the planet. So it's all about like aligning the subsidies, aligning the interests of people as well as the interests of the government, right? And the people who have access to the power to allocate those funds. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on
But,
that,
but,
but
but Joe, I mean, it's unfortunate that That has been from the beginning of humanity until that, and I don't know if we'll ever change. And I think my perspective is, I know I cannot change the world like that, especially because I am not that young anymore. And even if I was young, it's very difficult to swim against the big tsunami. Okay. And then I said, what do I do? Well, I think if we work around the people close to us, if we help people close to us that we need help, at least, attempt to give them a hand, to give them an incentive to do something for themselves, although that is not going to change the world at once. Not even I will see no change in my lifetime, but hopefully, if every one of us do something to make this world better, even we wouldn't say it, hopefully in the future we will have a better society. Because if you try to force it, it doesn't make any sense. I have a friend who went in 1968. There was a big revolt in Mexico, and he always said the government is having us as a slave, and he was part of this student movement, and he was badly beaten. He was in college, and he was badly beaten. He decided not to continue to go in college because he wanted to fight for the country to get better. He's old right now, and he did nothing with his life. His life is gone. It's gone because he cannot do anything else. And the people he was fighting with for a better of the country have big position, tons of money, part of the corrupt government. I mean, and this guy has nothing, and he has his life is done as far as he want to do something living for his family. He cannot do that anymore because he wasted his life. So I don't think that going that way is not going to get you to anything. I think if we try to do something peacefully, trying to help. Maybe I am still, although I was technical, but I'm kind of idealistic a little bit and believe in humanity. If we try to help people around us, we may have the COVID-19 effect, that it goes and contaminate exponentially, of course, but things, flourish exponentially. Good things take much longer. But if you try to do something good for the society, pacifically, and really with love to the people, I think could be in the future, it could be good for the future.
Yeah, so the issue, the concern I have with that is that I think it might not be enough, right? When we're talking about existential threats like global warming, it's not enough to go to your neighbor and encourage them to, say, recycle and invest in sustainable energy and things like that. When you have billionaires in this country who it works against their interest to be investing in that sort of technology and that sort of way of living, right? As long as those people exist and they don't agree with us, well-intentioned good people that say we spread our message of love and hope and sustainability, if those people still exist and they still have the power, we will never be able to reach there. We will just be stuck lockstep in to dooming our planet, right? And so that's not a place we need to be.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. But the thing is that I believe if we want to change the environment and the world, we cannot do it by shoving. We have to do it intelligently. And we're saying intelligently that you guys are being prepared. Study the most you can, right? Try to build your networks. Try to reach the places where these people are within the government or wherever they are. Try to be part of the network and start trying to change this environment within that network. Because if we keep outside of the network and we'll never go into the network, it will never change. And if we try to shove it and start screening and this and that, it will never change. Look what is happening right now. People don't understand that what's going on with this movement of Mr. Floyd, okay? With the death of Mr. Floyd, it's not that caused all this social revolt right now. This thing has been brewing for years and years and years, right? So these little small incidents that happen, and I'm really sorry, make people aware that how the society is going on, and they wanted to change. And it's not the African American or the black people who want to change. It's the whole country now who wants a change, with the exception of people who really don't understand, who doesn't understand that the people who are doing in this manifestation, they are not like all of them are violent. There are some other elements that get paid by other interests to go and mix with these people that are violent. So these people are being blamed for something that they didn't do. But not every people agree with that. They believe they have another idea. I was saying, I think, I guess I was in my teen when this movement in Mexico happened, but I never wanted to participate because I was not convinced. I was too young. I didn't understand what's really going on. And even it was good because, like I said, this friend of mine is wasted his life with trying to do something, and finally even the people who were with him became part of the government, of the corrupt government, and even he was offered a position at one time, and he put some money in a car keys of a Mercedes-Benz car, new, for him to be part of the group, and he said that he didn't believe in that. So and now it's gone. Now, no, I mean, his life is gone. He's alive, but he really not living really good. But so if we really want to do something or try to do something, we have to really be smart enough and become part of that network. How? I don't know. But if we just complain and choose to go the violent way, we will do nothing.
So
that's my opinion. It's not that, yeah.
So I mean, yeah, maybe I agree with you to an extent. It's just interesting that the case that you brought up with the Black Lives Matter movement, I would say is like evidence that sometimes shoving can be effective. It's not my preferred method of trying to have to start a change, right, in a system. But if people are passionate enough, I think it can convince people within the system of what really matters to people. So I think it can be effective if used intelligently, like you're saying. And yeah. And so just one other comment about your friend who went to these protests. I don't know how we could be in a position to say that he wasted his life, right? Like maybe he derives a lot of pleasure from, you know, being able to stick to his morals and stand up for what he believes is right. So even though he lost out on a potentially, you know, big opportunity to have a more comfortable life, sometimes Um, for some people, it's probably worth it to sacrifice a comfortable life for one that actually has like a deeper sense of meaning to them. Um,
Yeah, but Joe, I think in all the organization and in all aspects of life, we need a variety of functions. Okay. Well, some people are good to showing, and it's good because you do accomplish something. But besides that, they're gonna need people who organize it. They're gonna have people who really gonna create. Those people are you guys. Are people who are studying. Because if you are studying and you go in those type of uh, manifestations, I don't say that you don't go. That's prohibited. No, it's not prohibited. But you might get lost and your function that you want to perform to make life better could be aborted. So everybody has a function in this. So I think the function of the student is to prepare themselves, try to get into those networks, but in the future change the environment. Because if we, like I said, I don't know, I don't know if you agree with that or not. I mean, yeah, I think I support those people who are, basically, I think they are right. I think they have, but it's not my function to go to those anymore because I'm not caught for that.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's good. I think we made progress in the conversation. I feel like, uh, given everything we've talked about, I pretty much feel like I agree with you, right? So, um,
Yeah, I mean, and we mentioned this, I think, before, maybe when we were talking with Jesus, that, yeah, I agree with you that everyone has maybe different strengths, right? And because of those different strengths, kind of dictate where should you put your energy to maximize the assistance that you're going to give to the whole movement, right? So, I
Right,
mean, maybe like you said, like me and Joe, we're being educated, and on top of that, we're learning about physics, which not only, you're learning these details about the physical reality we live in, but also we're learning ways of thinking that are like are highly advanced, right? And they can really help with problem solving. And so I think that something that we could really help with is by thinking about possible solutions to problems and coming up with concrete plans and how we can implement them, right? And then in terms of getting in, I mean, it's the education and the connections you make through education. So, I mean, really, like you kind of honed in on that. The school that I went to is famous for people graduating and getting into politics, right? So that would be a route that through this network of close knit, alumni from this university and college, you could probably find and reach out to someone that could assist you if you really wanted to, or you're ready to get your feet into the movement. So
right,
I feel lucky that I have a network like that, that once I feel ready, that I could put some of my ideas out there and see how I could actually enter the game or the arena, right?
right. And you see that, and that's another thing. Everybody, you, Joe, and all the students that really want to do a difference in the country and in the world, they should always keep in mind that at this time for networking. If you don't have a network, you you are going to be only a professional, and you probably won't be getting to the places that you want to go to be more effective in the change of the world. So I think it's really imperative that you never lose your connection. From time to time, send them a note and how are you doing, blah blah blah. A, a really sincere note, not something that you have to do just because you want to keep the network. No, but from time to time, I think we should try to grow our network and feed our network because at the end, with the time, the networks are going to be possible to change. But like even if I want to, I am too old already. But if I was younger, I wouldn't be able to change the world because I know I wouldn't. Because the only way to do is to get into to the center of the action and then feed the action. Don't think I am not talking about violence. Feed the action with science, with technology, with medical research. You know a lot of mathematics, physics. Mathematics are vital in the discovery of new methods for cure of diseases like cancer. I mean, if you understand math and you apply it to biology, I know that in the future you will be able to generate cures right away with computers to cure diseases because go to the very depth of these organisms, those proteins, and mathematically you could probably configure a decision, a new component, and a atomic structure to combat these diseases that we have right now. And so, like I said, you guys have a lot of things on your shoulders. So just apply yourself and try to be part of the solution. And I know you will get it.
Yeah, that's very nice of you to say. That reminds me, I had one question for you. When I hear your story, it seems in stark contrast to my father's, right? He is interested in science and astronomy, but more as like a hobby and something that's just been in the background. And I think his interest has influenced me. But my point is that it sounds like throughout your lifetime, you've been very interested and devoted to science and math. And so I just wanted to get your quick opinion on like how you feel that Irene has gone into physics and science. Like, is it something that you wanted for your children to get into science, or how do you feel about that?
Well, you see, in our family, and Irene can testify for that, I never forced, I never wanted to force my children to choose a career. I always supported them in whatever field they like it. And if I noticed that there was potential, I always supported them. I always saw the potential for Elizabeth, my older daughter, in communications, in theater. And I always supported her, talked to her about it. To be honest with you, I didn't want her to take a job in Broadway because I don't think was a good field. Yeah, probably she would fulfill one of her dreams. But although I was praying that wouldn't happen, but to go on a different story, but within that field. But I was never opposed to it. I always supported her. Um, then that she discovered that really wasn't the field that she wanted to go. Then she went to broadcasting. She discovered that wasn't the field that she wanted to go. So she decided to go in the field right now that is communications engineer. She's happy with the job and she's doing well. And I happen but in all these aspects where I like it, no, I always supported her and I will continue supporting her in whatever she liked. Same with Irene. I remember Irene when she was a child. She always liked the sciences. She always not specifically math or physics, but she liked life sciences. She always was telling me about these doctors that did these operations and this and that, and she wanted to be a doctor. I never pushed her to be a doctor. I thought she was going to be a doctor because I knew the way she behaved and and what she liked. But I also know that she also likes science because when they have science projects at school and needed my help, I always encouraged her, and we did project together because she was really young and she couldn't use some of the tools that I had or had, and I helped her over it, and then she enjoyed it. And I think, well, she's gonna be good. I remember when she was in physics, she always did some projects, and she always won that I know. Even one of my colleagues at work, who he's really a physicist, but he was working as an engineer. He said, "Oh, your daughter is we are in the is in the same class as my son, and they are doing in the lab, and then, yeah, they're in the lab and they're doing this project." So it was when they had the concert the other day came. I can't believe your daughter such a petite, and everybody was laughing. That my son said that her project, and she's the one who won. And then my son was really upset because he thought he was gonna win. Well, I always thought Irene had also was involved like science, like physics. So when she told me in, I think the third year of her junior college that she was going for physics, I said, yeah, that's great. And I told her, no, if you want to be a physicist, you have to go for a PhD and just think about it because, I mean, if you just got a bachelor in physics, you're probably going to be a lab assistant. Okay, if you really want to do some research and more advanced physics and really advanced physics, you have to go for your PhD. And thank God, I guess she decided to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I took time off, right? But
Yeah.
I love I love studying physics, so I just figured why not go to a PhD program where I can continue studying it and they'll pay me a stipend and they'll give me the classes, right? So for
Mhm.
free. So it just
Not
made
for
sense.
free, because not for free. You don't have to pay you don't have to pay cash, but you are paying for with your work.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I'm paying for it through blood and tears, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and we're getting paid peanuts for it, right? So,
yeah, we're getting paid peanuts.
Yeah, pero peanuts are tasty if they're well roasted.
yeah,
Oh gosh.
yeah, it's better than going into debt, right? But okay, one other thing that was crossing my mind when you were giving us your background, Javier, is perhaps you could tell us what motivated you to immigrate to the United States in the first place?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I was clear. It was because my desire of learning high tech, and well, that was not the only thing. So I wanted to do high tech. I wanted to get more education, and that's the primary driver to immigrate to the States.
So how did that process go? Like from you deciding, okay, what made you decide? I guess at what point did you decide, oh, I'm going to immigrate to the United States? And then what was the process that you took to actually physically immigrate to the United States? And where did you go first? To Michigan?
Yeah, I went to Michigan first, but you see what happened is okay. I was young. I was only 24. I was 2 years out of college. And I said, well, when you are young, if you want to do something, do it. If you plan it so much, you'll never do it. So I was back. I came to this country. I got my visa. I came to this country. I went to visit my uncle in Michigan. I knocked at the door. I was supposed to go to Canada because I knew somebody in Canada who was one of my English teachers who live in Canada. He said, whenever you want to Canada, if you want to immigrate to Canada, my father can probably help you to get your papers and to get a job there in your field. So I would come to Detroit and just to visit my uncle on my way to Canada. And my uncle said, well, do you want to go to Canada? You can stay here. And we can see, he knew some people that he said they can help you to to do all your paperwork and then see you can stay here. So I did that, and it took me a long time, but I was able to stay in the States. But so then like I said, I started working in all these computer companies, and then when I came from Michigan to Florida, they offered me a job as a engineering manager. I mean, I was very surprised because I always had an accent. I still have my accent, and then I discovered really in this country it's like the Bible. Everybody has a different language and different accents, and if you are good at what you do, you get the opportunity. But still, for free, you have to push a lot. And so I had the persistence of doing that. So when I came back to Florida. I went to Fort Lauderdale, and I was a group manager, engineering group manager. So I say I need to be to have an MBA if I want to continue to be even a manager. So I went to Nova University in Fort Lauderdale, and I got my MBA there in international business. But something that I never used because I decided to go back to the trenches as an engineer. I really didn't enjoy being a manager. So I went back to playing engineer. But so that's how life goes on. I mean, but that is when I came to this country because I wanted to be high tech, and I wanted to study more and become better at what I do.
It's good. So you said that did you try out being manager at some point, but then you felt that it wasn't a right fit?
Because you see what happened. I had some skills, some knowledge, because I took courses on my own of logic simulation and automatic test equipment, and there was a lot of demand for that type of specialty, and there were not many people in that field. Okay, so they offered me a job, and they offered me the job as a manager of one of those groups in Fort Lauderdale. So I took it. If that answer your question? Or,
I mean, at one point did you decide that you didn't want to
oh,
keep going in that direction?
okay. So what happened then? I came to be an engineering manager in this computer company, and the company was had all the assembly in Puerto Rico. So I was going in trips from Florida to Puerto Rico, and I thought that if I really want to stay here in order to grow, I think I need to go back to school and get an MBA in international business. I can understand the international environment better, and I could make better decisions. I can climb the management ladder. So and that's what I want to go and get my international MBA in Florida. Um, but but then I decided after I went through all this politics that involved management and all the decisions, and I said, you know what? I am not cut for that. I really like engineering, so I went back when I when the company was sold in parts. The company was, and then I looked for another job, and I went to GE, and they offered me a good position there, and I went to GE, but just an engineer. I was not looking for any management job because I knew what I really like. And to me, it was a good decision because probably I was going to be a lousy manager. Many perhaps I was not go anywhere because because I because of my language barriers. Not that I say is the worst, but if you still have an accent and you cannot really climb to larger places, to better places in that field, in the field of management. I said, no. I'm gonna go back to engineering. I enjoy engineering more than management, so I went back to engineering.
So then you're telling me there definitely is discrimination then in in the workplaces in terms
Well,
of
I don't know if it's discrimination or I know. Look, I know there is discrimination anywhere, and I feel it also with me in the company the last company I worked for because I did a lot of work in this company. Everybody recognized me. Everybody, whenever, because my latest job was like a consulting for so many projects. And whenever they had a problem, they need me, they said, oh, let's call Javier. It was funny because they used to call me the king. Call the king. He knows how to solve this thing. And I go there, right? And I help them. But the thing is that yeah, there was discrimination, but I didn't really care at that time because I didn't realize that because I was doing what I wanted, and I was not, I was not being paid shit. My salary at that time it was about equivalent to people who graduated from MIT. I have people from MIT, from Tech, Georgia Tech, who wasn't even making the money that I was making, but they are being promoted all the time because they came from those institutions. Why should I care? I was enjoying my job. I was enjoying my family. And I really took advantage because if I needed to take some time off for my family, I didn't even have to tell anybody I'm going out. I go take care of myself. I came back and then I said, I want to this, I have to go out for this, blah, 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 but they never asked me anything because they knew I would put more than my 8 hours a day. Because so they never say anything. I had a lot of freedom doing my job. Like I said, I was not getting any promotion, but I was getting really, really good salaries and respect, and I feel comfortable. I had discrimination in terms of title, but in terms of recognition from my peers and everybody else, I had. From time to time, they gave me bonus. Okay, I think one day I was walking on the hallway and this director came and comment, Javier, come over. These people from this department said that you really help them a lot, blah, blah. Here is a work check for a couple $1,000, whatever. So I was happy. They were not treating me bad. What's discrimination as far as title? But as far about for anything else, I was not discriminated. They say, okay. Anyway, anything
yeah, I
else?
mean, no, that's really great. I mean, I feel like I've heard your story obviously in the past, but not as detailed as now. But every time I hear it, I first off, I'm very proud that you get to be that you're my father, of course, and I'm amazed at how you came to this country, and I don't know if that's called first generation or zero generation or what do you.
That's first generation, you could
That's
tell.
first generation. Okay. I didn't know if first generation was being born or not in the United States. But you came to the United States, first generation, and you managed to, what I would say, succeed in an extreme amount because, a lot of people, of minority descent in the United States now definitely don't make it to the level that you've made it in terms of income and I guess job prestige and responsibilities and I feel like it seems like you've had a overall positive experience in your life overall, which is also seems to be kind of rare these days. So, yeah, I mean, it's just I'm extremely proud and
Yeah, but Irene, I also want to tell you something that I never took anything for granted because I tell you, I know many people who do much harder than I do, and they have not had the opportunities I have, I have run into. I think the key is you have to realize when the opportunities are coming and grab them, because if you don't do that, they may never come back. So I think everybody have to really be very open mind, and look at the world and see opportunity for you. Take it because it may never come back. And fortunately, I've been recognizing those. But like I said, I don't take it for granted. I, like I said, I know there are a lot of people that do work do work much harder than I did I have. And I don't know. I don't know why they are not doing better.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of factors, right? I feel like it's also partly luck too. Of
Yeah, luck is a big part of it. Okay, but why there are people who have some more luck than other ones? I don't know. Maybe I live in the past time, and this is
randomness.
my second or third time in this world, and then I was really different the other. Maybe I learned from my previous life. I don't know.
I mean, it also sound though like you had a good, in general, childhood in terms of your parents, and they taught you, and your father, it seemed, taught you that education, how important education is, and always pushed you and supported you to pursue education to the highest level that you could. And he instilled those values in you. And I think a lot of children, maybe in the United States and around the world, they don't have that kind of support from their family. You know, their family doesn't have that priority, or their family has no experience whatsoever. And I guess that's part of the equation of luck, right? And also, people are just born with, let's say, more risk takers than others. That's an example of something, you know. Some people are more timid in terms of taking risks. So maybe they wouldn't take those opportunities that you're talking about. And maybe you happen to be one of those people who say, you know what, I'm just going to go for it and take the opportunity. So there's a lot of factors, right? So there's
Yeah,
a lot of things that have to come together and go right for someone to be able to succeed.
yeah,
And I guess a key is that it's the minority of people that have all the things aligned for them. So it hurts me when people judge someone else for how much they haven't succeeded without looking at the whole equation, because it's only the minority of the people who can really pull themselves up by the bootstraps, as they say. It's really not a common affair, you know, and you should never expect it to be that way. But
yeah. But that's also, yeah, I also think that's a mistake for anybody to judge somebody else uh, luck or position in the world because I think we don't have to take like that anything for granted. Yes, sometimes we get it for luck, but we have to recognize, and I don't know that it's not simple. It's not even scientific. Well, it is scientific in terms of statistical, right? Probability and statistics that you're gonna get this one, and but you are the lucky one to you get this opportunity, and you just have to take it. But a lot of people don't get the opportunity. Why? I don't understand that. Again, it's luck. It's a matter of luck.
yeah.
But that doesn't mean that give us the right to think that the other person, because he's worse off than we are, or we are better off than they are, is because we are superior to them. No, they were, we were we are luckier than them, and we didn't do anything to have that luck. I don't know why things are like that. We have to recognize that because and that's why we have to respect all people all of the time. I mean, because we have to not recognize that we have been lucky, because we really are have been lucky for the parents that they had. My parents that I had, they didn't have like I said, my father finished the sixth grade. My mother finished the ninth grade, and that's all the education they had. But my both of them encouraged me to to be successful at life, and I was lucky for the part that I got.
Yeah.
Well,
Why
well,
didn't why didn't they finish um school if they seem to be so, you know, fervent about education?
well, to begin with, my father, he said he wanted to be a physician, and but he had no support from my grandfather and grandmother. That as soon as he finished sixth grade, they told him, "Now you are all enough to do and support yourself. You're gonna be living with us, but you have to 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 give us certain amount of money of your salary. So you have to come every time with 100 pesos or whatever I want for living in the house." And he said he wanted to be a doctor, but he never had the support to go to the university. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I believe it because he told me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My mother, well, at that time, really women do much because of society. Okay. She worked, her last job was a secretary in the middle school of town. He came from a very poor city in the mountains of the Guerrero State in La Sierra Madre del Sur. And with her mother, my grandmother, came to my hometown, and he had a job of secretary, like I said, in the middle school. Um, at that time, women really cannot go further than that. Either were one of the cable girls, which means working in the telephone company, plugging here and there, or being a secretary or working in a factory, a clothing factory, sewing clothes, whatever. But there were not too many professional women. Well, maybe. It was a long time ago. In fact,
What year was that exactly?
uh,
What
if you
year
want
is?
that, it was it was 19, probably 1925.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it wasn't 1925 because it was like 1942, right during the Second World War,
Okay.
around that time. Yeah. So there was no women, even in the States, were going to the college, so with very few exceptions, right? I
Yeah.
mean, at that time, I think Marie Curie, right? Marie Curie was a physicist. One was later after the Second World War. I don't remember the time frame when she discovered the radio element, the radium element. So I don't even remember what it was after the. No, it was pretty before 1945, right? Because
Yeah.
the atomic bomb was 1945, so she probably was there around 1930 something. I gave Marie Curie. But it was an exception, though. Of and it was in Europe. And in America, the American continent, no, the USA. Although many people say USA, call it America. No, it's the United States of America. America is the continent, right? United States of America is the country. Either anyway.
So, did did your parents also did they agree with the traditional definition of what a woman is expected to do, I guess?
No, because everybody in the family, okay, like I said, we were at the end 6 children. There were 2 girls and and four boys, right? And then they always encouraged us to go to college. So everybody went to college, and one didn't finish. One of my sisters, she was a kindergarten teacher. She went to school to be a teacher for children, and then she was a director, and then she was like superintendent of her area. So the other one, she said she wanted to be a physician, but she was not accepted at the university because she didn't score enough. So although she didn't pass the admission test for medical school, she studied social work. So she worked as a social worker for a while. So everybody really went to college, and my father and mother always encouraged my sisters also to go to be a professional.
Yeah, that's interesting because I mean, uh, that doesn't seem to be the cultural norm. Do you have any idea where that came from? That desire to
Luck,
have.
luck. I really because I don't explain it. I could explain you. I could not explain it because even in my for my mother's side, she was the only child. Okay, and I mean she was born out of wedlock, and I don't know what happened there because those were the time of the Mexican Revolution. From like I said, they came from the Sierra Madre del Sur. Okay, so because I guess I would assume that's why something happened. In fact, just to tell you, my grandmother from my mother's last name is Moctezuma. So she's part of the Moctezuma dynasty, I guess. So derived directly from them because there are few people with that last name over there. Okay, so from the side from my father's side also also one of my aunts, the younger, she became a school teacher. The rest of them, they were like secretaries. Two of them were like secretaries, and that was it. But at home, my parents always stressed that we have to go to university, college. We were lucky. I tell you why, I don't know. We were lucky.
What's the
Okay.
Moctezuma dynasty that you were talking about?
No, I say the last name is of dynasty because they were very poor. So they descend they are from the Aztecs because the Moctezuma kings of Mexico, no, Aztec king of Mexico, not the lava because the lava was Cuauhtemoc, and but Moctezuma was a king also in Mexico. What's his name, Moctezuma? So I assume that my grandmother from my mother's side became from one of people related to Moctezuma. I mean, but I'm not at how many years, I don't know, 100 years or something like that, hundreds of years.
Oh, yeah, it says from 1466 to June
Right.
of 1520.
hmm Right. Okay. So,
Oh, so
but
you're trying to say that I'm a princess then?
you always been a princess.
I'm just joking.
I'm serious.
Right. So, in more recent topics, I guess. So you're saying you personally got a visa to come to the United States, and I'm assuming that was a work visa,
It
or
was like a student visa.
okay, a student visa, right? Exactly. So that ties into current events. I want to get your take on basically the Trump administration dealing with international students. Irene and I get to see this kind of like firsthand since in the graduate school, there's a lot of international students. But um, basically, the policy is that these international students will have to go to in person classes during the COVID pandemic, or they will lose their visa status, right? And they have to go back to they have to
Right.
leave the country, right? So I want to know what your opinion on that is and what you
I
think.
don't. I don't agree. I don't agree at all. But You see, I used to be a Republican. I am not a Republican nor a Democrat now. I am independent. And because also I was raised as a Republican, I also never agree with 100% with the policy of the Republicans. And if I was a Democrat, I wouldn't agree 100% of the policy of the Democrats. One of the facts that make me go out of the Republican Party were the behavior of the president before even he was president. I said, I don't agree with these people, and if the people in the Republican Party agree with him, I am not in that. I don't feel part of that group because I don't. So I resigned for that party, and I don't like that policy. He doesn't obviously this person, our president, lacks of education, although he is the brightest person, is a genius. If he was a genius never said, I am a genius. A genius has to be recognized by the world. And he should be humble, accepting from the world that title. Right? So I completely disagree. I would dishonor my college, my grad school, if after going to study international business, believe that this person is right. He's not right, but there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. If you want to do something about it, we, the whole citizen of the US, have to do something about it. It's no other way. But you see, and not only he not only wants to kill the international student. He always doing it with our own children here. He's always doing that. I mean, there's something wrong, and nothing you and I can do. So we as a country, we have to do something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess each person has to start by being active during the next election and
Right,
voting, right?
right.
Not just the major election, but all the others
no,
as
all the
well.
others. And it's really, you see, I think the young generation, the young people, they have to be motivated. They should not get weak and they should go and vote. And so we can really have a good election that makes more sense.
Yeah, definitely.
But that doesn't mean that I am saying he's not my president because I believe in democracy. He was elected by democracy. He's my president. Do I like him? No. Do I accept him? Yes. But we have to make a decision in this coming election if we want to keep it or not. And we have to accept what happened, whether he gets re-elected or somebody else will be. But it's how democracy should work.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how much I agree with the Electoral College being democratic or being the correct process because I don't think it. I think that there's too much leeway in terms of how they can count votes, I guess.
Yeah, but I agree with you, Irene. But I think we all citizens have a duty of voice or write our representatives in Congress to tell them we should get rid of this type of democracy. There should be only the popular vote. You don't have to be like this city has the density, of population in this area is higher than the density of population in this other area. Therefore, more electoral votes goes in this area. No, it don't matter where they are. There are X number of people in the country, and if half of X plus one gets a candidate should be the president.
Yeah.
So half of the x plus 1 is the equation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where x is the number of who are able to, who have the right to vote. But it's not like that. So we citizens should write our representative so they to work on changing those laws, because I I don't think they're democratic. But things have evolution, and at one point that was good. I don't know the story, but at one time probably was good or whatever, or they think it was good. But we realize right now that it's obsolete and it should be changed. And Congress is not going to change it unless we, the citizens, write and write and write until they get the thing right.
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
what I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, not much to add to that. But I don't know if you've had the chance. Have you listened to our most recent podcast with Jesus?
No, to be honest with you, I haven't. I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
I and to be honest with you, I've been retired for 7 years, and I've been working like 3x time, you know, of the skill I was working in my last job. It
Yeah.
was, so it was
What's your
something to do.
What's your most recent project?
Okay, right now I am working in the bathroom.
Okay.
It has to be refinished. If some of the parts have to be refinished, the drywalls are kind of in not really good shape. I'm working on that. That's my latest project. And the next project is, although the house is not old, it's only 7 years, so we bought it when we came back. Like I had to fix also one of the toilets. And it's kind of swings around, something like the ring in at the bottom is shot, so I have to play that. But a small job like that keeps me busy all the time. I also they have a, another couple of projects that I haven't even started. One good friend of mine gave me a 3D printer and a lovely loader that I really have to make it work. Well, it's working, but I have to start printing on it. And I really been busy. And the other concurrent project that I have is fixing my TV. If I have put it apart, I have, but now I'm in the debugging process to make it work. Anyway, so that's
You should
all.
be you should be doing these projects for money, you know, like do freelance or something.
No, I don't.
You can make a YouTube channel. Contribute to YouTube
Yeah, that's true.
University.
That's right. I'm thinking about all that. I really, yeah. I probably will do something. Especially, I have some idea how to improve, like the uh, I have a swimming pool and the vacuum cleaner on the swimming pool. I mean, it goes back from time to time. It's really expensive to fix. I mean, like a little wheel that get it like $70. How come I pay $70 for this little rubber wheel? I mean, they probably get it for 50 cents from China, okay, at the most. And they charge you $70 because again, demand and supply, right? Yeah, I mean, and then what the market can burst. Okay, I have some good ideas to repair those things so people can save money. But the other hand, how many people have swimming pools? There are not too many people. I mean, you really think about it in the country. So maybe that's why they don't care. They pay this much. They know that they. So I don't know. That has few ideas of how to make it work and last longer with few cents.
You could 3D print the wheel or the part that you need too, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
You get two in one projects done there.
That's right.
But yeah, we can help you with the setup for your YouTube channel.
Yeah, when I'm ready, I will appreciate if you help me with that thing.
You can pre-plug it now. What
Mm.
would you call it?
Um, I don't know, but I don't know.
Okay, we'll think about it and then
Think
we'll
about
plug it next time.
it. Okay, I'll do that. So, what's next?
1 second. I need a drinking break.
A tequila. What kind of tequila are you drinking now?
The good stuff.
So, I mean, I don't know how much there is to say on this, but I just brought up Jesus because he's one of my friends from college, and he's a DACA recipient, right? So he immigrated from Mexico when he was like 7 months old, and because of that, he's never been a citizen. Um, but uh, that that small gap of 7 months has caused them a lot of pain in terms of like having the paperwork to be able to go to school, to get a job, so on and so forth. Um, how do you view the DACA program, or the people that are trying to get an education from Mexico and stuff like that, but aren't citizens?
I view the way you view it, and I think, like I said, we have to do a lot of work in trying to convince them, make sure that the young people go and vote this year. Because if the current administration gets reelected, it's going to be more difficult for the DACA people, and that is not right. Okay, because to begin with, they this part of the world belongs more to the people originally from this continent than to people who came and destroyed the cultures of this continent. Okay, and I said things happen, evolution happens, changes happen in all areas, even in geographical areas, in social structures, and that happened. And when we recognize and we should try to do something for repair. That's why I say you guys have to get into the real places where you really make a difference without violence, but science. And what happened, the current administration doesn't believe in science, but we have to get rid of that administration uh, for democratic means. Okay.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? That there's this big anti-science movement coming about? Um, what is it that we could even do about it as people who are science literate?
There are a lot of, I think the source of this one, financial facts, right? For instance, there is a lot of oil all over the place. There are some carbon mines that they already have a lot of products. And I assume some of the people in and out the administration have a lot of interest. And they are trying to consume these um, materials to make money because they're in a stock you already have extracted them. And if that produce or gets the uh, earth in better shape, thermologically speaking, they don't care. They want just the money. They want to recover that investment, and they want to continue digging to get carbon, even if it produces a lot of uh, smoke, and they don't care. They just looking at factor money, and they don't like the new technology because before the new tech, because they are, I don't know. Look at the Arabs. Look at Abu Dhabi. Okay, they are rich on oil, but they are also really high tech and other sources of energy. And I don't know what's happened with us here. Why don't follow that example? We are more advanced than those people in all the areas. We are cheaper. I mean, we are richer in a lot of areas more than they are. We just focus on very small areas of wealth, and we disregard about uh, all these technical problems, environmental problems in the world for the small amount of money. But uh,
Yeah, I guess what I was talking about is more like the anti-science movement in the public, right? Like anti-vaxxers when it, like for instance, when you're talking about your background and how you worked on satellites, had a project with satellites, like how would you respond to a flat earther? Why do you think flat earthers exist?
uh, I don't know if that is a movement all over the world. You're only, I guess, a universal group of people believe in the earth is flat, right? They don't believe on that, right? To me, it's lack of education. Education is the key. If you walk on a road, you don't see the curvature of the air, and if you are not a good observer, and you are in a beach, people never realizes that the highest pole of the ship is going down and down and down, and the ship is not sinking, and they don't realize that the curvature of the earth that gives you that effect. In other words, I think if we don't get people educated, we won't always want to have these groups, and they don't have a go for a degree, but the fact of the matter is that many people they don't care about the education. They feel happy playing a sport or drinking beer and wine, having a good time, and few people, not all people are inspired by education. Even in the U.S., I believe, if I am right, about 30% of the population they don't have a college degree, even or less than that. Most, so how can they really comprehend even trivial things? Even they when they take this cognition test, right? What is this? Oh, this is a force. This is an ant. Even the people in kindergarten passes that test, but ask them what is the capital of Haiti. They don't know. I mean, basic thing that they should know, they don't. So if they people don't get educated, they will fall in this trap all the time. The earth is flat.
Yeah, so tie it back to the overall conversation we've been having is this something that you think is like a uniquely American problem? I mean, sometimes I think of it like it is, but I don't know if that's the case. Like, do you have prominent anti-vax, flat Earth movements in Mexico, to your knowledge, or when you were
To
growing up?
my knowledge, to my knowledge, I I haven't met in my life a people in Mexico who believe that the earth is flat. Okay, I read it. Okay, but I don't know this. Maybe they don't have access to the internet. Although, right? I mean, I'm saying that because some people don't like certain people, but there are some people that really I think that contributing up to a maybe large, maybe small contribution to making the citizens of the world better and setting a station, internet station, so people can get it, even if it's free. and and all over the world. And then it's up to their government who limits the use of the internet because they see the picture. When people are getting knowledge of other countries of the internet on science and they're getting more electricity here and there, eh, they're gonna diminish their gains. So they want to limit education for that. That's not that okay. And then, but to answer your question, I don't know any Mexican person. I have never talked with any other Mexican person that believes that the Earth is flat. In fact, every time I go to Mexico, I realize they are more and more up to speed and high tech that many people here don't even have a full idea of all the new technologies. So maybe it's only in some people in this country, I don't know. But I have read about it, about this flood, and
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting.
the only thing I believe that the world is flat in terms of communication and advancing because thanks to the internet, a lot of people really know more and more things about it. So there is in an area the world is flat, but geographically, physically, I never heard anybody who is part of that group. I don't know. And I don't know. But I read it. So it may be true that people still need an elephant, believe that we are being carried by an elephant on a big rock. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I feel like I don't know if it's always been like this, but at least in this country of the United States, it seems like conspiracy theories have really become very prominent and popular to, I guess, subscribe to and believe. I don't know why that is. Why do you think that conspiracy theories, or if you think they've become more,
No,
common or not?
I believe that conspiracy theories have always existed everywhere. But I also believe that the leadership of any part of the country makes a big difference to diminish this kind of theories. And I tell you, if the action of our leader in this country would be different, would be more scientific, it would be a different environment. That was really think we should really try to do something. I mean, should try to go to all these cities here. But probably will make a good difference because as long as the leadership is still like it is, not believe in science, the country is going to getting worse and worse. As it is, it's getting really bad. I came to this country. I forgot to mention that was one of the reasons I wanted to get out of Mexico because Mexico has been always corrupt, and I have really few uh, few experiences of that kind of behavior that I really don't like it. I came to this country because I thought it is different. It will be more happier here. And it's been different, but now it's getting worse. It's getting really bad in the last 4 years. It's getting really bad. And I believe there is a large percentage of the US people here, regardless of their party, that realizing that. There are very few people right now that really support the current system. That's what I really have great hopes, and I hope I am not wrong that we're gonna change leadership for in the next election. We should work for that.
Yeah, so if you're listening, make sure you register to vote. Register to vote by mail, because it's probably going to be important given the pandemic. Luckily, our county, you can just go on the website. It's real painless to register to vote by mail. So, yeah, in fact, we just got our ballots today, right? For some local elections. Right? So
Well, I know, Joe, and then I really don't appreciate, like I said, that was one of the reasons I really didn't want to live in Mexico. And over here, it seems like getting worse. But so what we have to do, we have to vote. Let's get a good, functional, thick cover to go well covered. I mean, to try to protect ourselves and the rest of the people and go and vote and try to maintain distance because because to begin with there is no data that shows that voting by mail produce fraud. I mean, it's not 100% clean, but I mean, they found 3 or 5, I believe, fraudulent ballots in millions of those. Makes no difference.
yeah, I mean, scientifically, it's
And
what?
statistically, it makes no difference.
Yeah, it's like 3 sigma or something, maybe 5.
Mhm.
It's basically 100% as accurate as you can get it, right?
Yeah,
So, so yeah, it's going to be important this election, right? And doing that earlier is better because a lot of states around the country have been flubbing it in terms of like polling places have been closed. People have been having to wait for hours and they can't socially distance and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens this election cycle. Hopefully we get our act together. But yeah, so that's why it's important to get that out of the way as soon as possible.
right, right. I think this is only a temporary thing. I, I, I don't think that it's just a glitch in our system that it will go away.
Well, I mean, it's definitely brought a lot of problems to light. I can say that. So,
Oh, in all aspects.
yeah, in all aspects, including the coronavirus, has also brought a lot of
Yeah,
problems with the structure we've had. And hopefully, if we use this information wisely, that we can implement better programs that are going to be more robust in the future if anything like this happens again, right?
right. Because I read this virus, it is not the only virus that has existed, neither the last one that is going to exist. And could be a worse one coming. Who knows? But they have to be prepared. And, you know, the current administration got rid of some of the institutions, organizations that were created exactly to attack this problem.
Yeah.
And so they have to come back. They have to come back, and they have to. That's what really we have to be with. And I hope if people start realizing what a bull situation we have. There's an aberration. This is we come out of like a aberration system or aberration in the political, socio-economic, financial, whatever system of the U.S. I mean, it could be very bad. It could be very bad if we don't do something about it. Especially now, they're trying to send the kids to school with this kind of in this kind of environment, and I hope the governors of all the states they do something about it, and they look for the health, for the social health, for okay, of the, for the public health of everybody. I mean, that's we have to. They have to look for the whole mass of people in the country, not for one single person in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy here in the next few months. We'll
It's
see.
already crazy. Are you kidding?
Oh
It's
yeah, no,
already
I know.
crazy.
Just keeps getting crazier, I guess.
Yeah.
But maybe to I don't know how we're feeling about time and stuff, but maybe to tie it back into Father's Day, since this is like a Father's Day celebration.
What is my
Maybe,
bottle of tequila?
uh, I was
Right
just gonna
here.
I was just gonna ask you, Javier, is now that your daughters are grown, right? You've had a lot of experience as a father. Is there, if you could go back in time, I guess, to talk to your previous younger self about raising your kids, is there anything you'd want to say or warn yourself about?
If your question saying that if I could have changed anything in the past regarding my family, what would I do, or something like that?
Kind of. If you could, like if you could,
Like, let's say, give advice to your younger self about what you think they should do to raise,
You
you know,
should.
yeah, your
Oh,
children.
okay. Well, to be, I think to begin with, like I said, I've been lucky, okay, because for an unexplainable reason to me, I always loved my family. Even before I got married, and then after I got married, I really wanted to be a father and have 4 children. And I really have dedicated most of my life to my family, and I've enjoyed it. And I always enjoy it. It's not a burden for me, it's a joy. And I really been very honest with you. I really enjoy my family, spend time with them. I do anything for them because it's a joy for me. So I think, and I always respected, even when they were little, I always try to listen to them, what their needs are, and not only supply what they need, but tell them, talk to them, guide them, so they will not take it for, things for granted. And you need this. I didn't say with words, but with action. Supply, but they always guide them what you should do, what you should not do. And I think parents should really see our children as not, they don't belong to us. We should enjoy the time they are with us and guide them and make them productive members of society. Give them a lot of love so they will love their surroundings. They will love the people who are around there. They will be good citizens, and they should be prioritized. For instance, sometimes we try to do, we like some sports that we like to play. Sometimes we don't have time because priority number one is the family. And if I have an schedule to go and play golf or to play soccer, but I need to do something for my family, forget the soccer or the golf. I do my family. They're number one priority. And 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 education is number one. It's really a high priority. And we parents should really put a lot of emphasis of education in our children. If they are educated, they're going to be good, and you won't even have to be spying on them, trust them. If you give them good education, they always be, I'm not saying perfect, they will make errors, but they will recognize their errors and will not make them again. But you have to support them and teach them that. I mean, I didn't know that never in her life has seen me harassing her or being after her, looking what she's doing, what she's not doing, where is she going, where she is not going. I always respected her because I always knew she and her sister Elizabeth, not that they never made mistakes because they do, but he will always do the right thing. If they make mistake, they will correct it and will not be done over and over. And if they don't correct it, we will still support them and try to help them to correct those. And I think like parents we have to be giving very high priority to our families, to our children, support them in their personal growth, educational growth, financial growth, but no giving everything digested to them. They have to do things for themselves. You just support them. And I'm very happy there. I'm very happy they are, and I'm very proud of them because both of them have been really good students and good person. And I have not know anybody around ourselves that they do not praise my daughters. They are everybody likes them because they know they are good citizens because they are very cooperative with as member of society, and I'm very proud of them. And I hope all the parents can really dedicate a lot of time to the families.
Thank you.
I know sometimes it's not really easy because of we have to make money to pay for the rent, to pay for food, and sometimes we have a very little time left. But I think even we have a little bit of time, we have to do the best we can, show them that we care for them, that we'll support them, and then they will be very good.
Yeah, I mean that
Crazy, right?
sounds no, it sounds that's yeah, I mean those are all the things I'm grateful for that I had growing up, and I think that it's a reason why I feel extremely lucky in this life, and it's a reason why I've been able to excel. I feel like the level that I have, not just in my career and achieving my goals, but also having the personal stability that I have within myself, like my emotional, mental, even spiritual self, is all because of that environment that you and Mamoy provided for me and Liz, you know? And that's something that I don't know how common it is these days. I don't know if children are getting that environment anymore. I know people, the US has kind of created an overall culture of it getting happiness from external objects, external things, you know, like working crazy hours to make more money. But then that takes away from spending time with your family. And in a way, you are working so hard that you never have a time to stop and think and reflect on, is this what is making me happy? Is this what life should be about, you know? And I think that that's something that is very toxic right now, right? That people are so gone on this direction of getting more objects, getting more money, that I don't, I'm worried that it's going to be hard to get humans back on track, in my opinion. Back on track means really taking the time to slow down, spending time with each other, strengthening community, strengthening your own family, giving the attention needed to each other, love for each other, and also teaching each other how to be emotional and exposing ourselves and being vulnerable is one way of doing that. And I think that both you and Mamoy were really good about being vulnerable growing up and showing us, you know, when things were upsetting, why they upset you, and teaching those skills to us, like, and letting us know that it was okay to be upset, to be sad, to cry. And I think that that's something that a lot of people are missing these days is really, I guess, accepting their humanness and like knowing how to deal with these emotions. So I don't know. I appreciate you saying all of these things because I guess I never heard them from you before. Like your philosophy, I guess, in raising us, but I knew it because, like you said, the actions that you just through your actions, that's the feeling that I got, right? Because as children, that's how we learn. We learn through the actions of our caretakers. So I'm just saying all this because I want to say I really appreciate and love both you and Mamoy for everything you've done for me and Liz. So happy belated Father's Day.
Thank you. Yeah, Irene, but I just want to say this thing finally. I appreciate what you said. And also, I want to let you know that if your mom and I are behaved that way, it's not only because we are like that, because we were taught like that. Our parents did that like us. So we learn from them. So it's not all our like I said, our initiative. We learn from the generation, the previous generations of my father and my mother. So I wouldn't say, yeah, I did that for my daughter, so I am the one who deserves all this credit. No, this credit it deserves to a lot of people behind us. We have just been lucky of being in this string of family. Okay, and then and also, I mean, I got a good job. I I could afford not to really work two shifts or two jobs in order to support my family. So everything contributed to this. But many parents, even they want to spend more time with the children, they cannot because they don't have the money to. They're not lucky enough to get the money to pay for, like I said, for all the needs of the family. So they have to go two, three shifts, and they don't have the time with the family, and they are tired and they're going crazy. And sometimes the kids pay the price for that, and it's not right. But I mean, what can we say? Like we talked before, we've been lucky, and lucky is not built for anybody. Lucky happens. Part of the statistic. I mean, some people are going to be lucky. X% of the people are lucky, and other Y% of people are not. And what drives those facts? I don't know. It's lucky. I don't.
Yeah.
Life is too complex.
Yeah, I mean, I know, but I feel like what you said is exactly true, but I feel like you're right. It's a detriment to the children when these, some parents don't have they can't make enough for some reason, right? Can't make enough money and they have to take multiple jobs. And they don't have the time to spend with their children, and that's detrimental to their health in general, and then that's also detrimental to the health of society as well. So it's in the interest of all society, regardless of where you are, for us to give the basic needs to these families as well, so that they can be there for their families and teach them how to be good citizens like you did, and have time to give them the love that they need. I think it's the duty of having government in general is to be intervening in situations like this exact situation. Like, I don't think there should be overregulation overall, but there definitely needs to be regulation in the correct places. And one of them would be also in education, where maybe the children don't have a chance to learn these skills at home, but if they go to school, then education should be robust and enough that it teaches those skills to the students at school. Because as you said, there's a snowball effect, right? Your parents, raised you in that same environment, and then now you add in, you take what you learned from them, but then you add in something new and you make it even better. And so you see, as generations and generations go on, that's only going to get even stronger and stronger, right? That's
Right.
what you would hope. You're spreading something that it's like you're planting the seed, and the next person, they'll add in something new and make it even better, and then they continue. And then that's what all I think that's what I would love. I know I'm an optimist, right? I'm an idealist, but I would love to see all human beings having that opportunity, to have the knowledge that we've gained from generations, right? As a whole, as a human society, we have this knowledge. And all I want is to give that knowledge to every person in a way that they can understand, so they can use it and then increase their own well-being and increase the well-being of the next generation. If everyone is doing better, society as a whole is going to do better. So it's just frustrating that there's so many people that are not on the same page in terms of that mission.
But I think we have to recognize what do we have under our control, and try to do something for the good of the people around us without expecting anything from them. Because if you expect something from them, you're gonna get this frustration, and it's not right because that's something that you don't need in your life. You have to try to do the best, but also be happy and don't feel frustrated because if you do something and you still see people that you aim to do better doesn't do better, don't get upset, don't be frustrated, just continue being good to the people. And it's not bullying because one of the I think one of the bad things in the current society everywhere they put a lot of emphasis on the money. The money is good for have the basic needs that you have and to live good. But doesn't mean is the end goal. You don't want to have money, and tons of money that you don't even know how much money do you have in the bank. No, that disregard. Be happy with what you have. Try to influence the people to be happy like you are. Incorporate, but never give them any money. Never give them, but moral support. Talk to them, educate them, let them work for them, and don't get frustrated if they don't do what you think you expect them to do. Don't expect anything from anybody. Give everything you can give them for them to be better in this life. I mean, that's what I believe. That will snowball into a future generation. And thinking about money the priority? No, money is not the end goal. The end goal is to be happy, to make people around you happy, to develop yourself the way you want it. Good member of society, without expect anything from anybody. Just give and give, because the more you give, the more you will take without you even asking for.
Yeah.
It's my experience.
No, I agree with that completely. Giving unconditionally, I think, is important. I just wish that, I feel like I hold people in power at a higher standard. And I feel like those people that have more control and power in deciding, in a way, the well being of others should have that same mentality that you just spoke about. They should, you know, they should they should be empathetic and want to give unconditionally, not expecting something back, like a specific outcome back. And that's what I don't see happening, is why I say I'm frustrated. But I always continue doing, I always try at least to,
Yeah, but because I think people that are in some position they will never change until the next generation. I believe. I don't know,
yeah.
but I don't want to spend my life worrying about them because I tell you something, Irene. You may not have a lot of money, or you may not have a lot of money or any money, but everybody would like to feel the way that you and I feel with what we have, because because we have a different priority. People just have other human priorities more than uh, physical or money or you know spiritual. I mean, we should believe in high tech, but we should also believe in humanity. We should
Yeah.
try to put my 5 cents in the future generation. The world is going to be better if we do something good for the people around. People will learn, and you will see the reflection. When you do something good for some people, they will react that way. No, whatever. Anyway, that's so
So,
much for uh, right. Talk about these issues.
yeah, well, I was just gonna say, we probably already covered this ground, so you might end up repeating yourself. But I thought, in the spirit of educating people around us, like you were saying, Irene, not all families have the same dynamic as you guys do. I just want to ask you, Irene, what do you think have has been uh, your experience as Javier's daughter? Like, what have been the best practices that you think uh, most uh, have given you the most benefit in terms of your upbringing? Like, is there anything that you think you could share for other um, fathers that you think really helped you growing up?
Yeah, so I think that the one of the most important things, well, obviously there's a few things, but let me start with um the freedom that you gave me and Mamoy gave me. And I feel like sometimes you really even had to kind of help Mamoy in kind of pulling back the reins sometimes. So, the freedom that you gave me in just exploring my environment and exploring who I was, and who I am in general, I think was something that was very important and influential. So, for instance, I had a lot of, let's say, interests that maybe other kids my age didn't have. Like I was really interested in animals. I was interested in well, maybe kids do have those interests in nature, but I also was interested, like my father said, in surgery shows, right? So a lot of those things, my mother, she didn't always agree with it. Like I wanted to bring in insects into the house. I like to raise insects, and my mom didn't like insects, but my father was always encouraging, and as far as I remember, he always encouraged me and kind of talked to him and said, no, she needs to explore her interests and find out what she likes. So kind of always having someone there to support and advocate me towards this kind of, I would say, inclination to science, was really important because, and also having my father who was also in the STEM field was really important in terms of allowing me to develop those skills. Um, and I think I always did have interest in science and in math. I always really enjoyed mathematics as well. And I think that if I had I think that because, sometimes being a woman going into these fields can be a little bit intimidating, and I still feel intimidated to this day, because there's not as much representation of women in general in these fields like math, physics. But because I had the freedom and the space that my father created for me to explore the interests, and also he took hands-on interests with me, like we would work on projects together. All of that really kind of solidified that interest in me and passion to the point where even though sometimes I felt nervous or I felt like there was some barrier there, I pushed through because I had already had experience in the past that gave me confidence in a way in my abilities in science and math. So having someone that allowed me to explore my identity in every way. And yeah, there were other things about me that weren't exactly feminine. There were things that I wanted to explore that weren't stereotypically like for women, and still my parents always allowed me to explore that side of me. Um, and I would say my father is a big part of allowing that to happen because he always really did advocate for that kind of freedom. So I think that is number one important, taking an interest in your child and their interests and working with them and learning with them and teaching them, right? Letting them ask all the questions that they want. Some parents just shut kids down and say, stop, like no more questions, because they get overwhelmed. But my parents always, they let me express myself and ask questions. And I think a second very important aspect was the emotional side, where my parents were not afraid of showing emotion. They encouraged us to discuss like why we were upset. Whenever we did something wrong, my mom would punish us in a way that felicitated discussions as to why we did what we did, why were we upset, and then work it out socially, you know. And that's a skill that is extremely important and something that I don't think parents know, I guess, about punishment in general. Like, what's a good way to do punishment so that the child can learn in the best form. So that's another thing that I would say was really important. And probably I would stick with those two as the most important aspects of what I think that you and Mamoy did very well in raising me. There's more, but if we just want to stick to two, that would be it.
Ari, no, it will always a joy to me. I'm very lucky to have this family. I really am, Joe. I'm very grateful to get to have this family, the best.
Oh, me too. I'm extremely lucky too, and I'm grateful. So,
Well, that's great. That's a great answer. Getting all lovey-dovey together.
I
Um,
know. Heart eyes. If they had the emoji, it would be heart eye emoji, you know?
but so I don't know. I'll open the floor up to you guys. Does this seem like a good place to wrap up, or do you guys, Irene, did you have any other topics you wanted to touch?
I think we covered a lot. I mean, I would just ask, you know, if you have any other things you want to bring up or talk about.
No, I think we better have another opportunity in the near future. Maybe we should really think about it, what we should talk about it, and maybe something would be nice and productive, for only us, if there is anybody and that could join you know, join us and talk about some subject. I mean, let's think about it and like plan for some other sessions in the near future.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it was enjoyable for me. I don't know how you guys felt, but I really had a good time having the conversation and getting to know more about your history, of course. Um, and I think we brought up a lot of good points, and you definitely were really insightful and about a lot of the problems, you know, in the country, and what I think that we're all on the same page of how what we should strive for in the future. And I think a lot of the generation, maybe millennial generation that we're part of, is also on board with that message and values for for the future. And I just hope that um, you know, we can organize ourselves better and start making our way into the system and making some changes.
Right.
But
I agree. And I really truly enjoy this conversation. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Irene. Uh,
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It's great.
and
So
then I
yeah,
have
go
one more thing. So to wrap it all up as like your last message, okay? Um, so if you had to give advice for, you know, the next generation, what would you say? I know it's very vague, so, you know, I want to see what kind of advice you would want to give to the future generation. I guess in living, in life, anything.
I think of you, think of your priorities, think of your plans for the future, and try to achieve them, and you will achieve them, and never ever put your priority in material things. The material things come along after you contribute something to to society, and yeah, you have to make the means to be able to go above the lowest step of the pyramid of Maslow, which is you have your needs covered, and then and then from there go to deliver all the rest of the layers of the pyramid, but never put your priority in material things. Put it in happiness, and the happiness should not be based in material things. Most, you know, and then you will achieve everything you want. Because money, it will never make you happy. It will not make you raise to the top. It will hold you back.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with
I
that 100%.
All right, great. You guys hear that out there? So, anyways, I'll just do a quick outro. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. We love you. Make sure to rate us on whatever you're listening to, subscribe on your podcasting listening platforms. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And yeah, that's it. So,
And
thanks
if you
for.
have any pool vacuums that you need to fix, look out for my dad's channel at some point, and we'll what is it called? Plug it in the
Yeah.
next podcast.
Okay.
All right.
See
Thanks
you
for
later,
listening.
guys.